Okay, Primary 5. So today we're going to be learning to read a timetable, and this is a really important skill in our lives because we come across timetables a lot and we need to be able to follow them. So for example, you might have a timetable at your school or work of which places you need to be in at certain times or things you need to be doing at certain times. You might also have to use timetables when you're traveling, maybe on the bus or train or by plane. And so if you can't read these timetables and you don't know what times things are happening, then it can make life really, really difficult. So it's a really, really important skill that we need to be able to do. So what I have up here is an example of a timetable, and it's quite a simple timetable, but it's the one we're going to be using for today's task, and it's a train timetable, okay, for a train that's moving through Scotland. Okay, so what we have is our destinations on the left, which is the different places that the train is stopping off at, and then we have three different journeys: journey A, journey B, and journey C. So that's three different trains on this timetable. And the way this timetable works is that it actually starts and moves up and down. Okay, so you could imagine the journeys are split up. So we've got journey A, journey B, and journey C. And the timetable, the train itself moves from the top to the bottom. Okay, so we imagine that the train starts at Dumfries. For train A, it starts at Dumfries at 20 past 10, and then it moves down the way through the stops and finally finishes at Inverness at 2:25. You'll probably notice that this timetable is actually in 24-hour time. That's why there's no AM or PM here. It's digital time, and that's how most timetables tend to be, because for exactly like I've mentioned, it stops any confusion with AM or PM, so it's really clear what time it's at. So as you can see, we've got the different times for each journey. We've got the time that each journey starts and finishes. We've got the time it arrives at each stop, and then we've got the duration at the bottom, so how long the total journey takes. So when it starts at Dumfries and then finally gets to Inverness where it finishes, how long does that total journey take? And you'll see there's also some blank boxes as well in this timetable, and that's just because there's some questions, okay, that are going to ask you to fill in those boxes. So let's have a look at some examples of questions that we might be asked about this timetable. So one question you might be asked is, what time does, let's say, journey B or train B arrive at Edinburgh? So you have to look along the columns and find, okay, journey B. Then we have to look down and find Edinburgh, and there we go. We can see that journey B arrives at Edinburgh at 10 past 1. You might also be asked a question like, you need to be at Perth by 1:30. What is the best train to take? So we'd have to look for Perth, the Perth section of the timetable, and we'd have to look at all the different times there for each three journey and see which the best one is. So we need to be there by 1:30. So we can't take journey C because that doesn't get us there till 7:15 at night, so that's too late. Then we could look at journey B. Okay, journey B gets us there at 5 to 2. So it's not long after 1:30, but it's still actually afterwards. So that is also too late. And then journey A, that gets us there for 20 past 1, which is obviously 10 minutes before 1:30. So we would say that the journey we want to take to get us to Perth for 1:30 is journey A. You might also be asked a question such as, journey C leaves Dumfries at 4:40 and arrives at Glasgow at 6 o'clock. How long does it take for it to get from Dumfries to Glasgow? Okay, so we know what time it leaves at and we know what time it arrives at. We just have to work out the duration of the time. And we've done this skill before already, but I'll just show you another example of how we would do that. So you might choose to do it this way with a number line, okay? And I might choose to add on 20 minutes to 4:40 because that gets me to the next hour, okay? So I might choose to do a jump of 20 minutes, just put 20M, to get me to 5 o'clock, because that's the next hour, okay? And then I might choose to do the jump of 1 whole hour, okay, to get me to 6 o'clock. And so I could say that in total, the journey from Dumfries to Glasgow takes 1 hour and 20 minutes. And finally, another question you might be asked is, what is the full duration of journey B? So how long does the full journey take? Okay, well, we know that the journey starts at Dumfries at 11:30 and it finishes at Inverness at 2:40 or 20 to 3. So it would just be the same way how we worked out our other duration of time question. Again, I might choose to do a hop of starting at 11:30. I might choose to do a hop of 30 minutes or half an hour. Okay, 30 minutes to get me to the closest hour, which is 12. And then I might choose to do a hop to get me from 12, and I could maybe do a hop of 1 hour to get me to 1 o'clock, and another hour to get me to 2 o'clock, and finally a hop of 40 minutes, okay, to get me to my final time of 40 minutes past 2. So then I would just need to add all these up. So an hour added together gives me 2 hours. Add 40 minutes onto that gives me 2 hours and 40 minutes. And add 30 minutes onto that gives me 3 hours and 10 minutes. So I know that the entire journey for journey B takes 3 hours and 10 minutes. Okay, so there's just some examples of the different questions that you might be asked today. So just use the timetable obviously to help you. You can use different strategies to help you, like the empty number line here. It's just whatever works for you. Okay, and as always, if you've got any questions, please post them onto the Teams page and we can answer them for you. Good luck.